Stay right there. What are you waiting for? Kill him! Kill them both! No, wait a minute. Is it money you're after? I'll give you as much as you want.
May the saints forgive you, because I won't.
Okay, Thomas, say your line.
As the Threshold Saints Jujutsu Kaisen defender, I'm gonna call Jujutsu Kaisen a flawed masterpiece. It's, I think, an extremely inventive, extremely unique series, and it's an interesting, fun take on like the shonen, kind of like battle shonen genre. It stumbles in some not insignificant ways, but is maybe in some ways like more interesting having stumbled.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, Thomas, for putting you on the spot like that. I just thought it'd be an interesting intro. You know, spur of the moment, you just kind of capture it as it is. So I'm joined by Thomas as well as Mr. Montgomery Carlo, returning co-host, Saint.
Hello.
Multiple episodes. I'll let you both introduce yourself. But yes, we are talking about JJK. So I'm going to be more of the backseat moderator, I guess we'll say, and I'll let the two boys duke it out and let them have their episode, but which I'm really excited to be a part of. But yeah, so boys, introduce yourself, please.
Yeah. So my name's Thomas. Some people know me as the Millennial, which is my stupid username. I'm a good friend of my gentleman here, and the sometimes co-host of the post-nostalgic wasteland with my good pal Illich. I'm very excited to be doing that with him. He's great. Yeah, I'm your boy. If you listen to this podcast, you probably know me.
Hell yeah. Monty here. I'm sure that you guys remember me by now, but yeah, it's this idea to talk about Jujutsu Kaisen is about like a year old now. And when we were first I was like a hater in the group chat. I was the one being like, I hate this shit. And I really think because it's one of the most ambitious projects that came out. I think it got way too much early success, and I don't think that the mangaka Gege was in a position to really he couldn't really run with it, and it stumbles in a lot of places where I don't think that other series like would. I think that this is a very much like a Bleach situation where something happened along the way, and it really just became more about like aura farming instead of like actually having a cohesive like plot and structure.
That's super vindicating to hear, because like my theory for a while, and like I can't substantiate this, but I was because yeah, JJK got huge like really suddenly, you know. It was like other than maybe Demon Slayer and I guess maybe One Piece, but One Piece is kind of a different conversation. Like other than maybe Demon Slayer, maybe Chainsaw Man, it became like the biggest kind of new kid on the block in the shonen world. After like one season of the anime, right? It just exploded right away. And I've wondered for a while if Gege, if he just like, if like the fame got to him or something, or like something about that huge like surge of momentum became kind of unsustainable for him, you know?
Well, there is this there was this like feeling or like there was something in the air. At least I thought there was. Because this is like around the same time the Demon Slayer was also like mega massive. And
Mhm.
again, it's the same thing of like one season. And I think a lot of because this was done by Mappa, and they throw like millions and millions and millions of dollars at their like AAA series. And I just think that this should have been done by like a smaller studio and like taken its time more. Because I mean, listen, there's tons we're gonna talk about when it comes to Jujutsu Kaisen, but it's I famously during the season 2 in the Shibuya arc, there was one episode between the episode where Sukuna gets like revived is still considered an unfinished episode because of the amount of like man hours that they threw at the animators.
Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah, Mappa is clearly like flexing super hard, and there was like in the
Crack the
book.
whip. Invincible looks like dog shit, and they work on regular hours. I like the Japanese model, but yeah, go
Yeah, no, I mean that's like obviously like as like weebs, we're to some extent familiar with like the kind of insane nature of like Japanese work ethic, right? Like I'm a big Berserk fan, and I do think that like Miura probably did work himself to death. So it's like there is some of that in probably this conversation, like the kind of Japanese tendency to like just put so much energy into something that it kind of destroys you and maybe even destroys the project itself. Um, but yeah, yeah, maybe had they like paced themselves a little bit, it could have like not exploded. Um,
Well,
did you?
it's really indicative because well, okay, so I think we should like introduce the show, right?
Yeah.
So Jujutsu Kaisen, it came out, I want to say like 2015 or something like that.
I think it might have been 2018. I can look it up really quick.
That's probably right.
But in that
That-
range someplace.
It's 2018.
Yeah, is it
Okay, it is 2018. Yeah, so it's super recent, and it has one of the strongest like intros of all time. It goes and follows this like this kind of dumb red-haired protagonist.
As all anime protagonists should be. They should be stupid and have hearts of gold.
Exactly, and be able to lift up a car for no reason. Yeah. So he gets introduced like he stumbles upon a there's a demon, cursed spirit, whatever you want to call it, who's attacking his school, and he's taking care of his dying grandpa who never gets brought up again. Um and then he encounters Megumi, who is he's a Jujutsu sorcerer, and who uses the power of cursed spirits, which Jin and I talked about on his spaces a lot. This cursed energy being like a force for good and evil, like the give and take of it. And so that's kind of like the magic system. Everyone has special powers based on their Jujutsu sorcery. And so Megumi can go and summon like wolves and like a bunch of other familiars, while Yuji doesn't have any of these until he goes and eats a finger belonging to the strongest demon of all time. And that's a great intro to a series. I'm hooked. Like, I love that.
Yeah, and it's cool because it's like, I mean, I'm not even saying this as a criticism, but like a lot of new school shonen series, they're kind of just like doing Naruto. They're like doing like different riffs on that, which I love Naruto, so I'm okay with that. But like, the comparison here is pretty blatant, right? Because like Naruto has the nine-tailed fox inside of him, and then Yuji has Sukuna inside of him. But what's cool here is, yeah, to your point, Lottie, like part of what makes this intro so cool is that like Yuji takes the gamble. Like there's a moment when Yuji's like in physical danger, and he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna eat this finger, and we're just gonna roll the dice on that. And so it's like he like actively chooses to like house this evil thing inside of himself, and he's like willing to take on the consequences of that. And so it puts
He
him in
accepts the hero's journey. Yeah.
totally. Yeah, it's the Joseph Campbell thing. Yeah, right. It hasn't been thrust upon him. I mean, I like as the series goes on, you can say that maybe part of it is like destiny or something, there's like a connection between Yuji and Sukuna that's never like really explicitly laid out, but is like, we're going like full spoilers here, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's like, it's pretty heavily implied that like, or wait, no, shit, I'm getting my characters mixed up. It's pretty heavily implied that like, Yuji is like a descendant of another like really powerful like evil character in the series, and I just we'll get to that. But it's cool that like Yuji chooses to have this like incredibly dangerous power inside of him, you know?
Yeah, it's he accepts like well, he's also kind of like has nothing going on. So like the first sign of like action and he can like help is and like, and also his dying wish from his grandfather is why he accepts the finger. And like I guess like his grandfather not existing anymore is like he lives on in spirit. But
Yeah.
I guess it just kind of like yeah, exactly what you were saying about the relationship that he has with like another thing in the demon worlds or whatever is they openly like dismiss that at the very end of the series. Like they're not even interested in like drawing upon all of the comparisons that they've been making. And that anyway, I feel like getting a little ahead of ourselves because we get introduced to Jujutsu Academy. It's like it's another school, again another classic shonen thing. Where he goes and meets a bunch of other of the Jujutsu sorcerers, and very much like Naruto, it's like all great characters.
Yeah,
And
agreed.
yeah, and season 1 is so special because of the tournament arc that they had with the rival school. And the rival school goes and tries to assassinate Yuji because he's housing the strongest demon of all time. And then we get introduced to like some of the coolest characters in the series, including the greatest character introduced like ever etched, Toto.
Yeah, totally. I mean, yeah, dude, I think this show does have a super strong cast. I really, really love the characters. That's maybe the best thing it has going for it. I think now that I'm thinking about it, but like, yeah, the most important thing for any shonen series to do is like what's the word I'm looking for? Like fabricate a circumstance under which a tournament or something like that can take place. Just we need to like come up with a good justification for a bunch of one-on-one fights between all these wacky characters. We need to like, okay, how can we get the panda and the robot to fight each other? You know what I mean? Like we need to come up with like a way for that to happen. And it does that pretty well. But yeah,
where it's not just everyone jumping each other.
Yeah, right. And it like a good justification for like kind of fights that happen within like a sort of like set of rules, I guess. But of course, one other probably the most like culturally famous character in the series is Satoru Gojo, who is like I really like Gojo as a plot device because he's like the whole shtick with Gojo is that he's just like leagues more powerful than everyone else here. It's not even fucking close. Like he's not Goku. Like he's so much more powerful than every other character in this series. Like the gap between him and everyone else is bigger than the gap between like Goku and everyone else in Dragon Ball Z, for example.
Yeah,
and
he's like if Superman came from Hyperborea.
Version of yes.
He's so cool.
Beautiful, sensitive white boy Superman. But he like, so initially when Yuji comes to inhabit, or when Sukuna comes to inhabit Yuji, the higher ups in the Jujutsu world, because like the world of Jujutsu sorcery has these kinds of like structures that has these different families and different like there's like a power structure in it. The like higher ups with whom Gojo deals quite a bit, they're like, we need to kill this kid. We need to kill Yuji because he's got Sukuna inside of him. Sukuna is like the worst thing that's ever happened. So like we just kill Yuji and then we're more or less done with Sukuna. Cool. And Gojo's just
under Gojo's supervision, it's that they have to like quietly assassinate him, because with Gojo being like the strongest of all strongest, protecting the strongest of all strongest on the opposite end. like that's just like a problem. And like Gojo's also like a loose cannon, reckless guy.
Yeah.
When faced with the evil danger, he said, "Nah, I'd win."
Right.
Quote. But just
Famously.
losing.
Yeah, Gojo's great, man. I love Gojo, but yeah, but he does not want the higher ups to kill Yuji and Gojo's a crazy guy who's willing to take these kinds of risks, and he's like, no, I'm not just gonna fucking kill this teenager, bro, and I'm not gonna let anybody else do that either. And Gojo's tendency to take gambles in order to protect people he cares about, that's gonna come back later in his story. But yeah, it's cool that like the kind of the balance in this world is maintained by Gojo. And so it's like, there's kind of this ever-present knowledge in the series that like, as long as Gojo's here, things can't get too crazy. However, if something happened to Gojo, then things would definitely get too crazy.
Yeah, I mean the like principal of the other school, Jujutsu school, he's like an old man who plays the guitar real loud. Guys, so that there are other cursed spirits that are around and that are causing problems left and right. One of them is this brain monster who takes over one of Gojo's like classmates when he was like going through Jujutsu High. And there's the volcano guy who's just incredible.
Yeah, animations for him, it's really cool.
One of the best.
I mean,
I
it's
just wanted to say that I do.
Yeah.
Gojo's my favorite. Sorry, guys. Please continue. But Gojo is my personal favorite. I think he has the most metaphysically, maybe not the most, but really interesting. Just from my angle, I just think that he has really interesting powers. But the volcano guy, definitely one of the most interesting on screen. Like the way he murks people is pretty insane.
Yeah.
yeah, like from Full Metal Alchemist, Mustang. Just mercilessly burn him to a crisp. But Jen, I think only you are qualified to describe what's going on with Gojo's powers. Can you?
I would love to hear someone actually.
Okay, so when I don't remember it precisely, but from what I recall, he does kind of explain it. So if you are interested, so he has the 6 bear powers. That's what it's called. So it's clearly referring to like Ursa Major, Ursa Minor. His eyes are sky blue, light blue. That's like kind of the idea. Diamond Thunder, pristine consciousness. Like that's all the same idea, really. It said clarity, turquoise, or lapis lazuli, day sky, night sky. So that's basically like, it's not God, but it's like God. You could say that you're tapping into something. That's like when you're tapped in. So basically that's what he's doing, but his power has power over time and space. So it kind of like unifies those two things. It stops time, but then it encapsulates his will overcomes the other. He's the domain counselor, right? He cancels like the other person's domain. So his will triumphs over the other person's will. So he's kind of like the quintessential, you want to call it like a biblical figure. He's like Moses. His serpent eats the other serpents. That's maybe a good metaphor for it.
Yeah, and he saves them with purpose.
Like I was like like Jane, your knowledge of like esoteric spirituality is like perfect for this. Yeah, I do think, and maybe we can get to this, but like I think Gojo's like when we get into like the prequel stuff with Gojo when it explains, because Gojo's 28, I think, at the beginning of this series. And
Which is like you're an old man at that point. In Shonen logic, yeah.
for sure.
Also a magical number because it's like double 8, right? Because like in 8, like Monty knows this too. So I'm sorry, Monty, but it's like you're doubling your 8s, right? It's 2 8s. So it's like double dragon. It's basically the exact same idea.
Huh. Interesting. And then there's a moment when there's like 5 episodes in the second season in which, for me, like the first 5 episodes of the second season is probably my favorite TV I've ever seen. It's when it explains like Gojo's kind of backstory, and it's like narratively, Jujutsu Kaisen doesn't do anything like super unheard of. It's like thematically pretty familiar stuff, right? It's like we're talking about like youngsters coming of age and losing their innocence and like dealing with loss of innocence, and like the way Gojo loses his innocence and then comes to like emerge as a man. I think that again, like very familiar, like shonen territory, like happens in a really satisfying way.
Yeah, it's I mean, a huge part of shonen is just like personifying like the experiences that like you're like the battles that you have to go through with your like through adolescence,
Mm.
and like really jacking them up to like the nth degree, where like, she didn't love me. Oh, she actually died in a tragic car accident type deal. And the the transition from Gojo from being like a fun loving, like, he has a best friend who is like their rivals, and then they experience like an actual special grade curse like issue, where one of their friends dies and they like fail the mission. And then Gojo just snaps and he's like, "No, I need to like hoist the entire responsibility of the world on my shoulders,"
Yeah.
and which ultimately leads to his demise because that's taking that gamble over and over and over again. I mean, uh, Lady Fortuna doesn't smile on you that many times. Like
Yeah.
she doesn't like it when you knock on her door too many times.
Well said, Monty. Well said.
Yeah, but I really do like. So yeah, and crucially, like, so Gojo's best pal Gato, they both like they failed to save this girl that they're trying to save. And importantly, the person who the way that chick dies, she gets killed by another character, probably the most thirsted after character in the series, Toji Zenin or Toji Fushiguro, depending. But he's someone who, like, in this world of people who use Jujutsu sorcery, he's kind of like a Rock Lee type figure who can't use these powers. And so he kills this chick. And so he's this guy who can't use these powers. And then Gojo and Gato being the guys who are the best at using the powers, they get beat by that guy. They get beat by like the muggle or whatever. And that screws him up pretty bad. And so like, and then it forks. So like what happens is Gojo decides like he had this really traumatic experience, and out of it he decides to emerge as like the superhero. And Gato decides to emerge out of it as someone who's like something that gets talked about a lot in this series is that Jujutsu sorcerers die really young, really regularly. Like this is a super dangerous gig, and they're protecting people who don't know anything about their world. Like the whole world of Jujutsu is kept secret from like the normal folks. And so Gato just says like, man, why are we protecting these people? Like
Mhm.
we're better than them. Like we can do things that they can't do. So why are we responsible to them? Like I owe these people nothing, and I'm watching my friends die, and I'm watching like I just watched this person I wanted to save get shot in the head. Like a very brutal moment in the series, man. Like so he goes the opposite direction as Gojo, and what I like about this is that like a concept that I'm really interested in is like loss of innocence. I'm really interested in like how that happens and how people deal with it. And what's cool here is that Gojo and Gato both react to their loss of innocence in a very understandable way.
Mhm.
Like, Gojo choosing to be like, okay, I'm gonna like keep protecting the innocent and the weak because I'm able to do that, and like his like losing his innocence through failing to save someone. It makes sense that he says like, okay, well, I'm just never gonna fail again. That's a reasonable way for him to go there, and for Gato to be like, actually, fuck all this, like that makes sense too, So it's I think this series deals with loss of innocence and the way that can affect and shape people in a pretty like a capable and I dare say like comprehensive way. It looks at like the different impacts that kind of experience can have on people.
I think that I couldn't agree more with what you just said there, and I think that even the magic system goes along with that cursed energy. It's like you have to keep sacrificing more and more and more to get stronger, and that kind of narrows which path you can go down. And I especially like civilians can't even see cursed spirits; they don't even know they exist. So when in season 2, when the bomb goes off in Shibuya, it's
Yeah.
no one can even see what's going on. So it's totally reasonable to make that split. And yeah, it's that the first couple episodes of season 2, while they're setting up the Shibuya meltdown, is like I agree. It's probably some of the this is the best anime season 1 and 2 that's out right now.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking when I say that. Like it's
Yeah.
really, really good.
Mhm.
which is why when it stumbles, it hurts so badly.
Fucking A, man. Yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about it. And like something that I want to make a comparison that this might seem like nonsense, but like season 2, once it gets into the Shibuya incident, it actually has like, to me, hear me out, like a Coen Brothers vibe, because like something I've heard about the way Coen Brothers write scripts is they say that like their stories are about like people who are in over their head and they just kind of keep getting deeper and deeper. You know, it's like, it's basically like in the beginning of, you know, No Country for Old Men, for example, like something bad happens and someone's out of his elements. And then it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And things just keep falling apart until you realize that there's no putting them back together, you know? And that's really what happened in season 2. And like,
I just like all of the characters being pregnant Frances McDermott and
for sure, yeah, making me sort of like Southern Belle, yeah.
I love you too, Gojo.
Yeah, dude. But like, it's because like, so Jin, I mean, I wonder maybe this will help you kind of make sense of season 2 a little bit more. I've watched it like 3 times or something like that, so I've thought about it quite a bit. But like, to me, like season 1 is basically like the kind of the evil plan being put into place. It's like all the villains are saying like, okay, how do we get rid of Gojo? Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna the brain monster guy is gonna disguise himself as Gojo's best friend. That's gonna screw him up really bad, and then we're gonna trap him in this magical cube made out of meat, and that's gonna like that gets Gojo out of the picture, and then we can just like wreak havoc. And there's a lot more to it than that, but like basically like season 2 is when everything goes to shit because Gojo got taken out of the picture. And and what this does is it makes it so it illustrates how crucial Gojo is, because you see like the moment he's gone, like hours later, cities are being leveled. Like he's like the one like load bearing pillar that's like holding this world together. It shows that
the proverbial chessboard lost its queen. Like it's you're in trouble.
Yeah, right. And it's like just after that, like everything is like the world's kind of up for grabs now. And it also
like immediately after season 2, it's like all of Japan is like it's like forsaken wasteland.
Yep.
Like there's hardly anybody alive, and they're all subject to this thing called the culling game, which we can get into later. But like it's like truly, like the second Gojo's out of the picture, like the world's done. Like it's scavenger time.
And so that to me is like to like belabor my metaphor, like Gojo getting captured is kind of like Llewellyn finding the suitcase of many of the Old Men. It's like, okay, now that this has happened, like everything's just going down, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. And like what makes season 2 so compelling to me is like just watching everything. You're like every episode, you're like, dude, how can things possibly get more fucked up than this? And then they do. Right, that makes well, just for the sake of clarity for me, like Jin, what did throw you off about season 2? You said you found it kind of discombobulating.
Honestly, it's a lot more coherent in hearing that you two speak on it. So I will say that. So maybe I'm gaining my understanding of it now, but I don't know. I was, you know, I like a traditional narrative arc that plays within its own conventions. I don't necessarily love like changing characters after one season necessarily.
Yeah.
I like a landscape that I sort of I know what the contours are, but that's me. Maybe that's like because I'm a little older than Monty, so like I like those anime that have like beginning, a middle, and the end. So I'm maybe more into those kind of like arcs where you can formulate where it is in the narrative. This was it just threw me off, but I understand it's more of a zoomer. It is Naruto, but it's like updated Naruto. There's a little millennial hipster coding. There is definitely like zoomer Asian sneakerhead coding, like, you know, like very hyper beast. Swagapino, as people have well, that's what it is. So I guess it's just like it's the unfamiliar terrain, but hearing you guys talk about it is kind of giving me like, okay, I'm kind of getting a bearing now. So
now this does feel like it was the first anime made like to be clipped on TikTok.
Yeah.
because it just raises the stakes like left and right, and also visually, it's stunning. Season
Yeah.
2 is one of the biggest, like greatest spectacles that I've watched, and I've watched it like 3 times too. It's so good.
It's great, man. Yeah, and that is one thing we can talk about here. Like this series seems kind of like Gege doesn't appear to feel obligated to have like a firm, consistent main character. The spotlight
That's
gets
3 times.
yeah, it's like he's the main character, and then
Then it's Gojo, and it's Megumi. Like it just like trade places constantly.
and then in the movie it's Yuta. And Jin, did you see the movie?
Yeah, the prequel.
Sorry about that. I muted myself. Yes, have seen the movie, and that probably threw everything more into decoherence in a way, just because, as Monty said, it's changing a lot. But honestly, because I've watched it all. I watched everything. I've even looked at the manga. Like I was doing good, Monty. I looked at the manga, so I'm familiar with it. So I'll go back now that I've heard all the. Because I just exist in my own wee bubble. Like, of course, I pay attention to what goes on in the chat, but like, I just like what I like. I'm very self-selecting in that way. So as I said, I love the world. I love the world they built. I love the characters they built. I will just have to go back and like review it all, and I'll probably come away and be like, yeah, Thomas was totally right. But Monty, obviously, I agree with Monty's criticism because I wouldn't have Monty on.
And yeah, it's the way it switches main characters can get kind of disorienting. I guess like one thing I want to bring up and I think we can all probably agree on this, that like if nothing else, Jujutsu Kaisen rocks, like
Yeah.
it slaps, as its target audience probably would say. Like it just like shoots blowing up and dudes are teleporting and like handsome guys are throwing fireballs out of their eyeballs. It's like, yeah, dude, like it just
Big burly boys shooting fireworks out of their hands rocks every time.
yeah, for sure. And it like
Every time.
like as kind of like nutty and cerebral as this show gets, and like especially in season 2 when like they're explaining like when the dude there's a moment in season 2 when an old man starts like telling you about frame rates and CRT television sets,
Mhm.
and you're just like there are these moments of shit gets pretty weird. But even when it's getting super weird, it's able to just be like, yeah, but this squid monster's fighting the guy with nunchucks, and that's sick. And I'm like, yes, no, objectively, yes, it is. So like, I think this series consistently delivers on that front, if nothing else, even as its narrative gets kind of wacky. And like, for me, with this kind of like, I probably have the highest like shonen slop tolerance of the three of us. Like, which who knows what that says about me, but like, I was able to kind of put up with some of the shortcomings because it's always just like, it just rocks cock consistently,
No, definitely. It probably I feel like Jujutsu Kaisen learned the wrong lessons from Bleach and Naruto. Because much like Naruto, you can't like any of the side characters because you'll never see them again. Like
Yeah.
even like during Shibuya, it's we get introduced to like all of these like extra characters, like the woman who has sex with her little brother.
For sure.
It like she's incredible, but I mean, she doesn't exist in the rest of the manga. Like she has one really cool fight sequence, but then when like another big showdown happens, like it's nowhere to be seen. And there's also another he's a second year student at Jujutsu High is Inumaki, I think his name is. He's the one who says all the sushi ingredients.
Yep.
He's one of my sorry guys. He is one of my favorites. Just from a metaphysical perspective, he is really powerful. Like he speaks the word, like that's the true word. So what he says goes, and so something really interesting about that. I apologize, Monty and Thomas.
Oh, please. Yeah, I completely agree because he was also another favorite character of mine. How he has to go and say sushi ingredients because they're meaningless. Because if he was to say like stop, like all of space and time would stop type deal. He gets replaced by a megaphone in the tail end of the series. Like I just stuff like that just really bugs me. And like, so
Yeah.
that's the Naruto problem. And the Bleach problem is that this series really just wants to aura farm. They just want every single frame to go and look like Ichigo arriving at the top of Soul Society saving Rukia. Everything has to be hype all the time, which works. It's great. Just like you said, it rocks cock. But
Mhm.
when it comes to like actually watching it and not just like watching like TikToks, consecutive TikToks of like the fire, Sukuna like saying Fuga, and then that huge fire comes out where he burns the volcano guy to a crisp. Like everything has to be exactly that in every shot. So that's I mean it's great and it works because obviously like we're talking about like how great it is and how enjoyable it is, but if you're actually watching episode to episode, you're like, who cares? Like, what is this?
Yeah, and maybe that's like the heart of maybe that's like the critical flaw is like an inability to connect things. Like there's a kind of connected tissue that doesn't appear to pull things together in as satisfying a way as it could. Because like,
Yeah.
and so this is something I want to bring up about the first 5 episodes of season 2, where we're like prequeling with Gojo. Is like that's the most like mellow the show ever is. Like there's moments where it's like it's just Toji.
Each episode.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Yeah. There's like Toji's just sitting at like a restaurant. He's like betting on a horse race. Yeah, there's a beach episode where they're like splashing each other, just like hanging out. And it's like, dude, there's moments in those 5 episodes that feel like I remember I was watching one like the second of those 5 episodes on a Sunday afternoon one time. And I was like, yeah, this feels like a Sunday afternoon. It's like it's just this kind of like chill kind of we're just here hanging out, taking in the vibes. Like interestingly, the color palette too in those episodes, there's a lot of these like soft blues. And it's really like it just has a very like relaxing, calming effect there. And it's
You can hear the cicadas in the background. I'm
yeah,
such a sucker for that stuff. Yeah.
right, dude. It feels good, right? It's like when this series feels able to like slow down, it actually works really well. So it's that maybe makes it even more kind of sad and frustrating that it like doesn't give itself the room to do that more often.
Yeah, there should have been way more scenes of the cursed spirits hanging out in that playground. Like just like
Yes, dude.
Ghetto blowing bubbles. Like it's that stuff's so important. And it's like, I, we just went and talked about Freerin and on this show, and
It does
there's
remind me a
moments.
lot of in maybe the negative qualities, like the things that Freerin gets right. JJK does almost the same thing, but they don't get it right. And
They
so
don't invest in it.
that's right. There's no continuity of character. That's what I really am thinking like this whole time when you guys are discussing it. I like, I don't need it to be Demon Slayer. I don't even like Demon Slayer. We talked about it. We shit on Demon Slayer. I don't mind Naruto. I think up until the Chunin arc, there's something really cool, really interesting with that story. I think it gets lost very much like this in itself, and it's like it's there. It invests in all these side characters, exactly like Monty said, that you never see again. So where it just doesn't matter. And
Yeah,
and
season 1 to season 2 jump is exactly like Shippuden when it comes to like tone and style. But yeah, go on.
But I will say it is very kinetic. I would not call it Kino, but because I think it suffers from that kind of Zoomer TikTok brain where it's like it's overly kinetic. It's like, and I like good Kabbalah colors, like green and pink, like really good, like those electric blue flashes. That's great. And I think it's really stylistic. And if I was a kid, I would totally be into it. But I think for like a more aging anime weeb audience, I think it looks like a little almost too decoherent. Like it's exactly Monty said. It's too kinetic. It's like okay, just
You need to be on Adderall to know what's going on.
right. But I agree with you, Thomas, that the slice of life, and I think we all probably agree on this, the slice of life in anime, there's something extra. They've like mastered that formulation. Like they know potatoes, water, the bamboo thing in the garden, watermelon, like all of it. Like
Beautiful, delicious food.
that's right. We'll say that.
Yeah, I mean, like that it does feel like JJK eventually just hits like this unsustainable pace. And yet because it's trying to make everything so sick all the time, like it ends up kind of getting in its own way. One character we haven't really talked about is Maki, who is like, I made the Rock Lee comparison earlier with Toji, but Maki's probably the closest thing to like a Rock Lee, that she's of all these Jujutsu sorcerers, she can't use these powers at all. She can't even see the demons or whatever, and so she needs special glasses to see them. And she eventually she gets rejected by her family, who like they basically just disown her because she doesn't have any powers, and she refuses to give into the patriarchy. And so she's supposed to be like a servant girl or whatever in her family because she can't use powers and she's a chick. She says, fuck that, I'm gonna go learn how to use these weapons and be super cool that way. And she eventually kind of snaps and just murders her whole family, which is one of the coolest parts of the series to me. And then to your point, you guys, like, that happens and everyone's like, whoa, Maki's bad as fuck. Like there's one moment where she has like, this is a real highlight for me. She gets a sword that has like afterburners on the back of it. So it's like a jetpack sword. But she can like slash extra fast because it has like jet engines on the back of it. And I was like, oh my, yes, this is precisely what I'm looking for out of this kind of shit. How can so into all that? I was so amped. And she just like, you just get to watch her be like so fucking ruthless. And she just like lays waste to like everyone who's ever hurt her. She just like annihilates. And you're like, fucking A, dude. And then that just never really gets brought up again. Like at the end, they kind of bring her back out to just get like rolled by Sukuna really quick. And it's like, yeah, I don't know, man. It's like, there's so much good stuff happening here. So much of it is working really, really well in these perfect moments, these like snapshots. But then, like, you know, I once heard this. I heard JJK called like it's like Naruto for ADHD Zoomers, and that's kind of what we're saying, right? And it's like, yeah, it has this like ADHD, like it can't focus on anything. Like it can focus on something long enough to make it super cool, but it can't always focus on things long enough to make them meaningful.
Yeah, it feels like every character is kind of just getting their highlight reel, like as if I was going on YouTube and typing in like Gojo versus blah 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 blah, fill in the blank. And it just feels like there's because I read the manga too, which by the way, the manga is like ugly. The same thing with Demon Slayer. Like I think both these are two like very if there is a case for like astroturfing in anime, I'd say that these two are like the industry plants or whatever. And because I find both of their art styles like really ugly and really hard to follow. And it's like 380 chapters. Like it had plenty of time to work out all the things that we're talking about.
Yeah.
But it's just, again, this addiction to raising the stakes. Like, I don't know. Because, yeah, they keep introducing like this new cast of characters at every turn, completely forgetting about the ones before. Like, one of my favorite characters was Nobara. She's like she's the Sakura of the of Yuji and Megumi. Like,
yeah, Megumi and Nobara. I just want to say that, Monty. Like, also two of my personal favorite characters, and some that I thought were actually the most metaphysically interesting. Like, I agree. Like, all the characters from season 2 had awesome powers. Like, everyone was great. There's clearly like this is obviously something that comes up with between Monty and I, like how much do the mangakas or the creators understand? Like how much metaphysical knowledge is it very superficial? I don't think it's that superficial, to be honest. This is my perception right now. Maybe that's wrong, and I reserve the right to change my mind. But I feel like it's a lot of it's intentional, and there's been a lot of occult books published in Japanese since the very early 19th century. So there it seems to be like an underground current of like people kind of using the similar ideas, maybe not exactly the same, but similar ideas. And because obviously this is about sorcery battles, I mean, that is what the series frames it as magic, and everybody has a magic that is kind of corollary to something else, whether it's esoteric Japanese Buddhism or or Tantrayana, like my thing, or like a more modern, modern magical system. So I think there is some kind of thing, but like everybody's saying, if they're not capturing it, it's like little aesthetic clips, but it's not the fullness of what that could be. But I do think they're trying at something. I think the Monty's inclination to compare it to like Nobara to Sakura is really good. I think that even Megumi, he has the Sasuke like early pre-tuning like arc quality, and he's like he's a guy that you root for, but he's mysterious. You don't totally understand his motivations. He seems like he's the dark compared to the light, right? So, and he has a really interesting metaphysical power as well. So I think if they had, for me, I would have just focused on those three the whole way up. Have it be like Gojo be like a Kakashi character, because that's clearly his archetype, if not his inspiration. And so I think you could have done something really interesting and like taken where Naruto went wrong in Shippuden and have those kids be super modern, because the aesthetic is much more Korean. It's much more of that like very kinetic Korean style, like Dandadan's like that. And I think you could have had a really cool
He wears a wide turtleneck.
Right.
Yes. That's very Korean.
Very Korean. So I think just, so I'm saying this and it sounds critical, but it's actually not. I'm just thinking of it from like a story perspective, but I like the series. I think it's full of potential. Every character they make is interesting, and is interesting for multiple reasons, but it's just like, I like to complete a full story, a full arc of a character. For me. Do you?
Yeah, I think Megami, to me, like, I love that character so much, and he almost seems like a kind of representation of the series, the kind of a personification of the series, because he is like the most underutilized character to me. I mean, maybe there's competition for the title of most underutilized character in JJK, but I think he's like top 3 in a way, right? Like his powers are so cool, like summoning these like spirit beings that fight for him, and like if one of them dies, the rest of them get stronger. He also has like maybe the coolest looking thing in this series is Maharaga, the like demon that Megumi can summon, that has like the like, and Jin, you could probably fill us in on what this means symbolically, like the kind of like the wheel thingy. Yeah, the like, Jin, do you know what that whole thing's about?
Yeah, so Maharaga is actually a real esoteric Buddhist deity. And so I just had Jigoku Keiki come on the show. He's obviously been on a long time ago, but he just recently came on, and we kind of talked about a different but related deity from Japan. So Maharaga is, you could say it's like Fudo. I'm just saying Fudo, it's not quite the same character, but it's he's interrelated. So there's another character called Aizen Nyo. So Fudo and Aizen Nyo are both wisdom kings. So they each have different attributes. So Maharaga refers to Aizen Nyo, who's red, and he has like a bow and arrow. He holds like a bell. He holds like a vajra, like all these things. But he's like the king of lust. So that's kind of the whole idea of Maharaga. He's the king of lust. But it's because he's a Buddha, he actually doesn't embody lust, and he conquers lust, but his name is the king of desire. So basically that's what it is. But why I'm saying Fudo is more popular, and sometimes people put them together. So Fudo's dark blue, and he has like the zigzag sword that's on flame. So everybody kind of knows that from all the Yakuza. If you like Chabarm films, you've seen him many times. So yeah, it's like, so he's basically, it's that he's a wisdom king. So that's even interesting right away. And yeah, his power is interesting because it's a lot from his mind. So there's something very particularly tantric Buddhist about his character and his power, because it strictly comes from him. Even though it's a Buddha, it comes from his like imaginal space, if you want to say it like very Gordon White.
Well, it's another thing about Maharaga is that so Megumi's powers is that he has the he can call upon familiars that he has visited them on their plane, defeated them, and now has dominion over. Maharaga, no one in his entire clan has been able to defeat him. And so when in Shibuya he goes and summons Maharaga, it's that like untamed, unbound desire is just let loose and rampant onto the city streets.
Interesting. Yeah, so like Jim, what you're saying, like the that being having like conquered desire, that 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 has not taken place in the context of this story. The conquering hasn't happened.
Well, you could say that he conquered him by forming the contract, like Monty's saying, like he went and right, like to enable in order to summon the beings, which I think was argued that it could be from his own. I think it's a passing line, but he's running with the two wolves, and then you see one of the bad guys. He says, "Oh, well, he's the most powerful of the three because he creates the boundaries of his own reality." So like what he's summoning is actually from his own consciousness, but it's kind of a throwaway. So
Sure.
but what is interesting is this is the Buddhist idea, is that the Maharaga is his own desire. It's not just like it's a demon that exists in hell. No, the Maharaga is his own desire, just personified, because that is his power. It's his cursed power. It's this draw thing from the black well of ink, like sort of the abyss.
And a very important part of this too is that a huge component of the battle dynamics in JJK with the magic system is you need to imagine you winning. When the zombie of Toji shows up, and he's the guy you mentioned earlier who has no powers, but he just like runs house. When he shows up, Megumi can't imagine him beating him, so that's why he has to flee. And so like summoning Maharaga too is like he can't even imagine. Like he has the power level reader on, and it's over 9,000.
Yeah, but that's why Megumi is such an interesting character to me, is because like he is kind of like archetypally the Sasuke of the trio, but unlike Sasuke, Megumi does not have much confidence in himself.
No.
And that's a consistent thing that he's like. There's this great line, I wish I could remember it verbatim, but like Goju tells Megumi, because Goju basically adopts Megumi after his dad gets killed by Goju. Like that, good move on Goju's part, I guess. It's one way to make it right. But like Goju tells Megumi something to the effect of, there's a difference between like spending your life and being willing to risk it, or something to that effect. And it's like, because Megumi is like, he has this he has like a recklessness that is born of selflessness, as opposed to a recklessness that's born of confidence. And like, I wish a little bit more had been done with that, like seeing Megumi become more confident in his abilities in a more organic way, but that's another one of these like kind of mini plot lines or character plot lines that just never really gets like tied up neatly,
Snaps, snaps, snaps. Confidence over selflessness instead of confidence over recklessness over confidence. That's
I like that.
really good way of describing that.
Yeah, so that character is super interesting to me, not only his powers, but like, yeah, I mean, I think like the cast is really strong, and I guess generally my opinion on JJK, like when it's good, it's great. When it's at its best, it's just like kind of some of the best shit out there. But yeah, there's that's maybe why the whole like flawed masterpiece thing feels so apt here, because it's just like, man, it has like all the raw materials of like pretty much the best shonen of all time. And it just doesn't quite like sew them together into a neat enough like quilt.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And I think that we should probably pivot towards the end of the series. Because it really just personifies and really like ratchets up like all the problems that we're talking about. So Sukuna is able to defeat Maharaga and now has dominion over him. And so now, but Sukuna also went and jumped into Megumi's body, leaving Yuji behind.
And can we hang on that moment for a minute?
Yeah, go ahead.
That I did really like that moment, because like there's all this foreshadowing earlier in the series where like Goju will tell Megumi, like, you actually have like the raw ability to defeat me. Like that on paper, that's the thing you could do with your abilities. But because Megumi has this like low self-esteem problem or whatever, and it hasn't quite figured out the Maharaga situation, like it's never quite addressed. But there's this like kind of hinting at like, what if Megumi fought Gojo? What would happen there? And then because the mechanism by which Sukuna comes to inhabit Yuji is Yuji eats one of Sukuna's fingers, Sukuna briefly takes over Yuji's body and feeds one of his fingers to Megumi, which allows him to take over Megumi and then have access to all of Megumi's power. So that's a kind of a cool plot twist to me that like, oh, this is how we get the Megumi Gojo fight, is because Sukuna takes over Megumi.
Yeah, and it's
Sorry, Monty, let me just jump in really quick.
please.
Mahoraga. So there are two meanings. I spelled it Maha Raga. But there's also Mahoraga in Sanskrit, so which more refers to what we're talking about. So I apologize for that. But Mahoraga is a species of Naga. So if you follow me on
my Nagas.
So it's a species of Naga, but they're particularly magical. Like they're a level up. So most Nagas are more described as Cobra people, but Mahoragas are described as Komodo or Python people. And instead of having greater physical strength, they're actually considered to have greater magical potency. So I just wanted to clarify the lore. I do know the difference, but it's Sanskrit's very precise. You have to be careful with the ending. So
You gotta get ahead of the haters in the comments.
Jin doesn't know shit about the difference between Mahoraga and Mahoraga. Rookie shit.
But yeah, so it's Sukuna has taken over Megumi, and now like we've officially have like the king on the chessboard. Like this is like the like big bad guy. Geto just kind of goes away. We never really got a satisfying wrap on his character arc.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I had to go back and so Geto gets taken over by this character named Kenjaku, who's like another legendary super evil sorcerer. And like, this is another, sorry to go into a whole. So one thing I really like about season 2 is like, but you have two main antagonists. You have Sukuna, who is just like, Sukuna, because he's inside of Yuji, he could emerge at any point and cause all kinds of untold destruction. So he's this like kind of ever-present like potential source of utter havoc, and that's what makes
threat.
Yep, yeah. Right. And but he's also like, he doesn't have an overarching plan. He just wants to like wreck shit. He just wants to like, I don't know, just cause man. But then
sorry, Thomas. He's like the dragon. That's how we would describe it. He's like he has no plan. Exactly like that. No plans. Just gonna destroy, maybe party, then see what's in the ashes. That's kind of the idea. It's like, yeah, there's no consequences for the future, because it's like just living in the exact moment. That would be very that archetype. So my apologies on this.
You're good. But that's precisely why Sukuna is a cool villain, is because he doesn't have a plan. He's kind of like this Joker style, like no overarching scheme. And then the other big antagonist is this ancient sorcerer named Kenjaku, who basically, he just takes his brain and just puts it in different people's heads and like inhabits their bodies that way. So we have these two, but Kenjaku is like, he's the schemer. He's the one who came up with this whole plan to eventually trap Gojo. So he's evil and dangerous in the exact opposite way that Sukuna is. Sukuna is pure havoc. Kenjaku is calculating, planning, 10 steps ahead kind of stuff. And so like, having these two antagonists who are like very different in nature is like such a sweet setup, and it makes for like Kenjaku is basically like carefully crafting the circumstances in which Sukuna can carelessly craft chaos, right? And so like the way they kind of like play off of each other is really compelling. And then like, so you're like, man, what's gonna happen with these two super bad guys? You have this cool fight with Sukuna and Gojo that I do really like, and we can get to that, but the way I had to, at the end of the series, I had to go back and read the part where Kenjaku just gets like unceremoniously murked by Yuta. It happens in like less than a chapter. It's crazy, man. I was like, wait a minute, that's how they got him, huh? Like Yuta just comes up behind him with a samurai sword and just like, fuck you, man. And I was like, dude, what the fuck, man? Yeah.
And again, that was also with another character that just got introduced, the comedian. Like this fourth wall breaking.
It's so weird.
It blows my mind at how much they missed the mark on this show, especially towards the end. It like all the season 2 like terrorists like bomb going off in Shibuya. like had so much promise for something afterwards. And so Geto's plan, after he goes and traps Gojo and effectively gets away with it, he goes and starts the culling game, which is very it's similar to it's a I can't think of a comparison, but he goes and sets up these zones where it's tons of cursed spirits, and only the select people who can pass through the gates are jujutsu sorcerers. So a lot of these people who don't have any powers, or at least they don't know of any, but have a high propensity for sorcery, um, they are become subject to like this point system style, like Hunter x Hunter s like scenario, and it's I mean it's really brutal. That's
Mhm.
like and that's where the prequel comes in with Yuta coming back, and he comes to assist Yuji, which and again another character that gets introduced is his like he has the same weird secret power that he does with Toto of like instantly making friends with like the blood freak who he killed his brothers.
Mhm.
And once he loses the fight against the blood guy, he's like, "Oh, you're my brother now." Which also, I kind of need like another set of opinions on like what that was.
Oh, I think I've got this actually. So, um, this- and this is like it. Part of why I like the series is like trying to make it make sense is kind of a fun game.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, wait a minute, maybe these things line up. So I think what happens. So okay, so there's one panel again. There's one panel where the mark of the way you can tell whether Kenjaku, the evil sorcerer brain man, when he's inhabiting someone, they have these the stitches across their forehead. So there's a moment when and so at the beginning of the series, Yuji's grandfather tells Yuji like, "Hey, I have to tell you something about your family," and then he dies right then, or something like that.
Mhm.
But there's one panel where Yuji's mother is shown um,
Oh.
with those stitches. So that's so like the implication being Yuji's mom was actually taken over by Kenjaku, meaning that Yuji is a direct descendant of Kenjaku. And the way the blood guy that you're talking about, the Choso, is that his name? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He like so him and his brothers, the way they were born is like they were these like cursed like fetuses or something like that. And they
Yeah,
were
they're like some kind of weird like Nephilim. I don't really know
so
what they are.
but basically like their mother was just repeatedly raped by Kenjaku, right? Yeah, it's like brutal stuff. And but so basically, like Yuji and Choso are actually half brothers. If I'm like doing all that math right, you know.
That that I vaguely remember this. Yeah, I think that is right. But
Well, it's so fast, you know what I mean?
it's inextricable too, because like I don't know. Exactly. But also like if I don't care if my half brother killed my two real brothers who I kick it with all the time.
We're still gonna have a problem.
No, see no problems, man. Got that for you. But yeah, so like they team up and they're going through the wasteland and the culling games. We get introduced to a lot of cool characters, and uh then eventually, when the switch happens between Megumi and with Sukuna leaving Yuji and jumping into Megumi,
Mhm,
that kind of ends.
mhm,
And then we have, our squad, the Jujutsu Kaisen sorcerers who are still alive, who are like, this is it. How are we going to go and beat this guy? They already freed Gojo. And
mhm.
then my favorite meme to come out of Jujutsu Kaisen, and I guess it's always been there, but Zoomers just shouting "fraud watch, fraud watch, fraud watch," whenever like the strongest character in a series says like,
Yeah,
"Oh nah, I'd win," like you
yeah.
fucking fraud, get laid out, bitch.
Well, Maki, let me ask you. So, like, yeah, like basically they get Gojo back. The Cullen game, the Cullen game has its moments, I think, but it's ultimately not super consequential, I guess.
You can't
Um,
follow any of the action in the manga, and I think that's like what really takes away from the Cullen game's excitement for me. But go on.
mhm. Yeah, but like, I I really did like the fight between Gojo and Sukuna, and I think once we see it animated, it's gonna be really sick. But
This
like,
should be an anime only. I don't suggest anyone read this one.
yeah, I like the manga more than you do, but I could see that position. But like, I mean, so what did you think of the Sukuna Gojo fight?
I thought it was really hard to follow, but I really when the action is happening, because he's up against Sukuna and Maharaga, like he's double teaming like the two strongest forces in like the world at the moment, and I really liked how they actually did like go into painstaking details, like I believe, on like the which we haven't really even talked about, their domains and how like they're interacting with each other. But at the same time, it kind of felt like like in Naruto when it's Itachi versus Sasuke, and they're just having like a genjutsu fight, and they're just standing in a room.
Mhm.
They're just doing mental battles like that. That never did anything for me. But I think that the fight itself is spectacular. I mean, this series is more focused on spectacle, and so when it's doing it, it's really good.
Mhm.
But exactly like you said, it's literally a game to figure out like what's actually happening.
Yeah, there's this YouTube guy, I can't remember his name right now, but he does these like JJK explainer videos that like sometimes just make it that much more confusing. But like I respect that this guy's like, no, I'm gonna figure out how this like all does kind of make sense. And something I respect about Gege, the author, um, he's like in his little like notes in between chapters, he's so insistent that this does actually make sense.
Yes.
All right, man. Whatever you think, bro. I'm like, I respect the like moxie that requires. Um, but like, so this is part of the reason why I'm excited to talk to Jin about this. That like the world of sorcery is like beholden to all these rules, and like cursed energy has all these rules that like there's things like binding vows, and there's the way that uh domains behave, and it's like cursed energy is not like chakra in Naruto. It's not just like this meter that gets depleted. There's more going on with it, and I think something that Gege seems to understand, and I think he is uniquely good at this in like this world of shonen stuff. Um, he understands that like powers are often made more interesting by virtue of their limitations. Like I've been learning a lot more jazz guitar lately, and I've been really into this YouTube channel called The Labyrinth of Limitations, where this dude like basically tries to like teach guitar by like understanding it through its limitations, because like guitar is actually a uniquely limited instrument when compared to like piano or something like that, and like seeing like something that has potential, and like understanding the limitations of a particular tool or set of tools as like a path toward mastery of it is a really fascinating idea. And like, you know, Sukuna is like largely dangerous because he understands the rules of Jujutsu sorcery really, really well. He understands like the rules that he's beholden to and that he can't break, and he understands how to like make these deals with Yuji in a way that like he's like a lawyer kind of, you know what I mean? It like he like knows how to like kind of snake his way through all these kinds of like this kind of magical red tape, you know? We might actually need to do like an early life check on CPA. This is a Wikipedia case.
Yeah, it's we have to go and consult the Torah on what monster he's out of there.
Well, his name was Silverstein. We might be on. But is that like the rules?
No, you're totally right.
Like,
Yeah, no. So this is something I've talked about, Thomas. I won't drag you through like the metaphysics of all this, but Monty's definitely heard me refer to this, and I saw you smirk, Monty. So let me just say that on audio. That a lawyer is really good, actually. If you want to think of it, I'm just going to use the word Kabbalah. That can be whatever people want to assign to it, but that's how I kind of used to describe it anyway. Because you're going to understand the complications of the past, basically. You're going to understand what both constricts them and what builds obstacles around them. And when saying paths, it's really just words. So you're understanding like how contractual English is like very different, right? Like technical English is very different. That's what it is. It's kind of like a mastery of those words. So a really good lawyer is actually a really good Kabbalist if you're really good. Not every lawyer is good, right? Like not every lawyer gets it, but if you do, then I'm not a lawyer. I'm just going to say that. So nobody, But no, definitely there's there's a way all this makes sense. I promise. So what I'm going to say is that you're a master of the contract. So contractual English, contractual language. You understand how it all works and how to tie people down or let people go.
Right.
And that also that also goes and their domain. Physically, you are entering their space where you have complete mastery over. And so, yeah, like it's much like how I always use this as an example, but people who don't appreciate Rothko paintings, Rothko has drawn lines millions and millions of times and has a precision over the lines and the colors more so that, yeah, a baby could have made it, but guess what? A baby didn't. Like only a master is capable of doing stuff like that.
Yeah, and like I like that Sukuna is largely dangerous, not in just he's not dangerous in the same way that like Cell is dangerous from Dragon Ball Z. It's like he's dangerous because he's smart and he understands these rules and they understand like the nature of how this particular kind of magic behaves. And like
Sorry, Thomas, I just want to say one really quick thing is that you were right. Yeah, you said something and I was like, oh yeah, you get it. So there's like a precision, especially in certain kinds of ritual methodologies, not necessarily magic, but ritual methodologies. Definitely East Asian esoteric Buddhism, so particularly like Japanese and of course Chinese because it all originally came from China. And there's a kind of there's a similar Jewish autism, we can say, where you're getting into, well, you're hyper focused on like the precision of ritual methodology. I think the Japanese embody this really well. And also modern mainlanders also do it. I'm unfortunately a diasporoid, so that's, I'm not privy to that secret knowledge, but no, I definitely think the Japanese have like almost a Swiss precision kind of, right? Like they're interrelated. So I think that's also what you were seeing. And I was like, yeah, he's totally right. Sorry, Thomas, to interrupt.
Yeah, you're good. But like, that's one, I want to like, I think we got to hand it to Gege a little bit in that like, that's an interesting approach to like how to make a villain threatening. It's not just raw power, it's understanding of the specific mechanics and limitations of this like magic system. Is it always well executed? No, probably not. But like, I think there are moments like when the specific way that this magic behaves like leads to interesting stuff in the battles. Like one thing I do like about the Sukuna Gojo fight is like, so one thing we learn is that, domain expansion is when one of the sorcerers like makes a barrier around a particular area, and then inside that area, they are like extra powerful basically. But that barrier that's created is weaker from the outside than it is from the inside. So it's very hard to break out of, but very easy to break into. There's a moment when Sukuna and Gojo both create a domain at the same time, and Gojo's barrier is wider than Sukuna's. So Gojo's able to attack Sukuna's barrier from the outside. And it's like, that does kind of seem like convoluted bullshit, and like maybe it is, but it's like, when you look at it, it's like, no, I mean, like this there are moments when JJK is very good at like following its own rules, and like the way it kind of teaches you how this system of magic behaves has like real consequences in the fights playing out. So like that's one of those moments when I think JJK is at its best, when it's like understanding of how this crazy ass magic behaves is like extremely consequential in who's able to defeat who.
No, you're totally onto it, Thomas. This is like a real magical principle. Like it's the weaker from the outside than it is on the inside. Because in negativa, it's the negative space, right? It doesn't really exist in space. That's the whole point of the domain. It's kind of outside of it's interstitial, completely of your own making, of your own projection outside of yourself. But you can only do it with the limitation. So that's what that is. And you're only defined by your boundaries, right? So the something also, to borrow something my friend Solar says, is like meta. That's kind of meta political. Like you can apply like a very simple Kabbalistic idea. Like, yeah, you need like a border, like, because it makes sense. It's logical. It's just simply logical. So I just want to say that, but yeah, no, you're totally right. And like the domain is really interesting because you could say like a domain could be like a Sephiroth sphere, and they're often like egg shaped or sphere shaped. they have the very similar idea in esoteric Japanese Buddhism. So I'm not obviously an esoteric Japanese Buddhist, but I am an esoteric Buddhist, so I kind of get it from my own lens. And so, yeah, they got the idea of the Brahmaloka, the idea of like the egg-shaped world, this kind of like the sphere of perception, yeah, and the halo of all the bodhisattvas, the peaceful ones and the wrathful ones. Yeah, this all makes sense. Is that you have like a negative space that's filled with light. Interestingly, in the show, they often do like the dark, like it's like black from the outside, right? And even Megumi's power, the 10 shadow technique. Well, that's obviously talking about the Klippas, right? So there's an idea like the tree of darkness. So clearly there's an idea that is translating from more modern occultism directly into the series. So it does all make sense. There is like a clear, it's not that necessarily that it's like a system and that you can be like, yeah, oh, they're like indoctrinating us. No, I don't think that. I think it was just, he read things that are interesting. He's like, I'm going to throw it in and like see how it works. And like we've said the whole time, the series is a little decoherent. It's a little crazy and all over the place, too spectral, maybe you could say. That's okay though, because it is wild and weird. And, we live in a very weird world. So, yeah, we'll just go with it.
Well, it's I just kind of want to piggyback off of what you're saying because, like, with cursed energy, like as the power system, like I think it's the way it's executed is really good, because it is like one of these like binding vows and like sacrifice and habitation, like all of these things are dynamic concepts that like get used all the time, not just in Buddhism, but like cultures across the world. And so it does have it intrinsically does make sense. But again, it really just doesn't take its time to like let it unfold or like explore it. It just defines it.
Yeah, and like again, it's like the closer any work of art gets to like real excellence, the more glaring its flaws are going to be. And so like when JJK has these moments, like to me that like double domain sandwich thing, like that was a really cool moment because I was like, oh, all that shit you told me about how this magic behaves, that actually mattered. Like it's important for my understanding of the story that I understand how this magic behaves. You weren't just saying neato little things to make this thing seem complete. Like that was consequential,
Yeah, it's teaching you how to read it.
Yeah, totally. It gives you like a hermeneutic, right, for the series, and because it like when it does happen, it's so successful, it just makes it that much more of a buzzkill that it doesn't happen more often,
Yeah.
But yeah, like on the whole though, that YouTube cat who does those like explainer videos, I had to watch like a bunch of his stuff to make sense of the Gojo Sukuna fight because there's a lot of stuff in there that super hard to follow.
Yeah, and like even like the like I always struggle with kilometers. So even like, oh, it's like 500 kilometers. I'm like, I don't even know what that is.
I no idea. I couldn't get into speculate.
Sorry, metric bros. Couldn't be me.
That could be like as big as my apartment or as big as the world. I know.
You just divide by half. So
yeah, whatever. That's foreign math. Sorry.
No. I thought okay, so we'll kind of like I'll say something in praise. The idea of the cursed energy is really interesting because it obviously comes from people. So it comes from like people's in Buddhism they would call it poisons or like kinds of desire. People misunderstand what desire in Buddhism, but basically it comes from these like poisons. Like, and everybody knows exactly what it's referring to. Like you can be too greedy. That is a real like ontological position you can occupy. You can want too much of the world or want too much from other people. That's that exists. Okay, so you're too horny. So you go out and you can be overly, right? You can just misuse those ideas that are just normal to human behavior. So basically that's what cursed energy is. So it requires like the kids, like Monty, you said this and I was like, oh, click. I was like, Monty gets it. I was like, they die quickly. They die young. And it's like burning out like the Psy warriors. Like they need the kids are needed to kind of like fix the world that these like people who live, the longer you live, the more poisons you accumulate, right? So it's kind of like the boomers are burning out the zoomers in order to perpetuate their own world. I don't know. It's something kind of weird, but interesting.
There could be something to that. I mean, because like it's a real problem in Japan that there's like way more old people than young people. You know, and like the young people are kind of having to like bear the weight of the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the incel epidemic going on in the east of the world is really it's weird.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things, so like before we get like all the way to the end, I think we would be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit more about Aoi Todo, who we
Oh yeah.
before. I feel like he deserves like a little bit of spotlight here. That like, Monty, do you want to introduce that character? I mean, I'm very interested in like your feelings toward this.
All right, so we first get introduced to Todo in season 1 when there's the meet between the schools of Jujutsu High and I forget the other name, but he's a student at the other school.
He's at the Kyoto school. Our
Yeah.
heroes at Tokyo, and yeah.
Yeah, so he's from the Kyoto school, and basically he is just I mean, he's just a tank. He's like physically like he's like 6'6" and like the 300 pounds of like pure muscle. Like the huge scar on his face, and he was because like Yuji is also a bruiser, and so like their fist fights, like he was the one who's supposed to like either kill or at least like beat the snot out of before like the execution comes. And so like during the slugfest, they start bonding, and then eventually Todo's like, "Wait, I like this guy," and then he asks the most important question in male friendships: "What's your type of lady?" And when Yuji responds with, "I like a tall blonde woman with a fat ass," he's like, instant brotherhood bond. And he goes and tells all of his classmates, like, "I don't give a fuck about the plan anymore. He's my boy. You want to deal with him, you got to get through me." And he also has one of the most interesting powers in Jujutsu Kaisen.
Totally.
Because so the cursed spirit thing is that it's a lot of give and take. If you want to go and like have fires that go and like destroy half of Tokyo, you need to like give up your human self and become a volcano. And like that's the what you're sacrificing has to equal the output. Todo has a really interesting power that he gives up almost nothing, and he has this ability called Boogie Woogie, which is also very fun. Where if he claps his hands, he switches with someone else, like physical positions in space. And it just the fight scene in season 1 against the cursed spirit who goes and crashes the party is one of the most visually beautiful things I've seen in a long time. With like the clapping, switching places, the impact frames, like it's you can't watch this series if you have
Epilepsy?
oh god. Yeah, epilepsy. Yeah, you can't do it.
Yeah, for sure. Consistent danger of flashing lights. But yeah, that power is so cool to me because it's like, and this is why I think if nothing else, JJK gets credit for just like being inventive, you know, because it's like, I mean, and I've been making a lot of DBZ comparisons, and I fucking love Dragon Ball Z, man. Nothing beats like muscular dudes named after vegetables shooting lasers at each other like that. I've zero complaints there for sure. But like the idea of like what Todo does is he claps his hands and then he switches spots with someone or something in space. And like that doesn't sound that sick. It doesn't sound that dangerous, but just the amount of like pure chaos he's able to create with that makes for like super entertaining fights, but also like really creative. He has these really creative uses of it. Like, so and this is one of my favorite parts of the series is that, so obviously in Shonen, like in Shonen series like Bleach, Naruto, whatever, there's a lot of times like exposition where a character explains how his powers work. And like, you know, non-anime fans might see that dark. Why are these guys fucking like giving each other these spiels about like
Stop talking?
Yeah, exactly. But in JJK, they get around that by saying like your cursed energy actually is enhanced by verbally explaining your power. Which is, I know, on one hand, like the stupidest bullshit, but on the other hand, it justifies this like anime trope It's like, yeah, actually they do have to explain the powers. There is totally like a reason for that. And that's kind of a fun way to like justify an anime trope. But like the way Toto does this, he announces when he and Yuji are fighting this like tree monster, and he's announcing his ability and how it works. He says, I have to clap my hands to activate it. He says that really loudly. And like to a non-anime fan, you'd see that like this is just like what this is just like a lazy way to do exposition, right? It's like why would he be shouting at in the middle of a battle? But then later there's a moment when like Yuji and Toto are about to punch the hell out of the plant monster, and the plant monster has like kind of figured out the pattern. She's like predicting when Toto's gonna make Yuji and himself swap, and Toto claps his hands and they don't swap.
Yep.
So he claps because he's like, yeah, I can clap my hands without changing positions with something else. Like I can just do that, and like that's another one of those moments where it's like the wacky, like overly exposition heavy bullshit in JJK like really pays off. It's like, oh, that's why we had all this crazy exposition and stuff, because there's like, he was playing mind games that whole time. He wanted the enemy to think that every time he claps his hands, that's going to have this magical effect, but it doesn't necessarily have that. So like, those moments are when this show is like providing something that no other show in the property can, I think.
Yeah, I mean, did they, especially in the end of the Shibuya arc, where he's up against Mahito, that flesh monster. And yeah, exactly. It's he loses his arm in the fight, and so he goes in with his stub, claps his hands.
That part, yeah.
And it's like it's one of the most like beautiful and like shocking scenes of when like I didn't have to actually switch, and then Yuji like punches a hole in his heart.
Yeah.
Oh,
Rocks.
so it's so cool. And exactly like the magic system gets it right. Like the it explains away the exposition of like explaining your powers. It has like awesome characters. Its execution when it hits is incredible. And that's why like these glaring weaknesses, it's like I hope I don't actually know this, but if this is like the first mainstream publication that Gege has done, that would explain a lot of the issues here. And I'd really be interested in his sophomore project because he has to learn a lot of lessons from the show.
Yeah.
Okay, one thing I've been dying to bring up the whole time, not because you guys were great. It was just that I kept thinking about it. What is Psyche K? So now you're asking me, why am I bringing up Psyche K? Well, Psyche K has a plot line where the dad works at a manga publishing company. Okay, it's not the famous one, but it is kind of a knockoff brand. But they do have famous, like, Shonen Jump-esque series as well. So there's even a joke in the series. It's a running gag that even like the worst editor can ruin the absolute best series. So I do wonder if some of the unevenness is because of too many hands on the project, because this is obviously something a lot of modern mangakas complain about, is that they get they have a great story, they bring it to someone, it fits all the right key, it's all the right things, but then they're like, oh, you have to be more like this, you have to be more like this, you have to be more like this. So then they kind of like change things around to emulate other more popular series. And, it becomes it's not really the original vision anymore. It's more, so I do think it suffers from that, but I just think, there's an interesting thing you could think of it, like in a positive way, maybe, is that a lot of the modern manga, and I am obviously an anime, usually anime, but I'm okay, so for Psyche K, in that whole thing is to break anime physics, is to like exactly what Thomas was talking about, is to like explain anime physics in a way that is a caricature, that you're making fun of it, that you're all the conventions, it's like a horror movie, kind of like a horror movie is able to break genre conventions because of its nature. So Shonen like Psyche K can also break conventions because it is also composed of them. So I think you're right, Thomas, in looking at it like, okay, this is the hermeneutic. This was a great word, perfect way to describe it. And it's breaking them in front of you and then being like, okay, this is how things work. And as I said, like Nobara, she has a great power that you never see in anime or even in a lot of Japanese like films. Like
You didn't even see it in the latter half of this series.
Bluff, bro. But that part is great with the you know, the straw doll thing. That's like total Japanese country magic, like very interesting from like an anthropology and magic perspective. And so I just think, you know, exactly right. Flawed masterpiece. There's so much here, and there's so much cool stuff. But I also think that maybe having a property based off a good manga is maybe. I think they know how to translate it a bit more. And I think sounds like if the manga is a bit rough, then, you know, the series might be a bit rough.
Yeah, if you need an anime, from my perspective, I always think of the anime as supplementary. So like the manga is like the story, that's like the bread and butter, no fillers and anything. And the anime is just something that is like companion piece. So you can actually see some of the action unfold instead of just imagining it. And if an anime is better than the manga, that's usually not a great sign. But I mean, you know, but again, they are two different things. That's why I think that this is a series that you should watch and not read, because I think the anime really excels where the action is kind of lacking. Like I'm like over the moon excited to see Maki's fight during the Culling Games. That's going to be amazing.
It'll be sick. Should we like? I don't know. I'm not on any huge time constraints, but I can kind of go as long. I don't know if you guys are trying to wrap up sooner later, but I feel like we should probably talk about the aftermath of the Sukuna Gojo fight, because to me,
yeah, absolutely. Go for it, Thomas. There's no time constraint.
Cool.
We'll go as it's organic.
Cool. Because that, like, you know, like in the chat, like, you know, Monty and I would kind of go back and forth about feelings at JJK, but where I feel like we agreed the most was like, dude, that ending is fucking whack, dude. Okay, rough. Basically to set the stage, like, so 100% the wrong way to deliver a plot twist. So what happens is Sukuna and Gojo, they go back and forth, they fight and they fight and they fight, and like all this crazy stuff happens, and it does feel like a kind of culmination of like, it almost has this like final exam feeling where it's like, okay, we're going to apply every concept that we've introduced in the series thus far, and we're going to watch them play out. And then there's this moment at the end of one of the chapters where Sukuna and Gojo are fighting. They'd been fighting for a while. I don't remember the exact details. It's been a little bit, but like Gojo like kind of just outwits Sukuna and Gojo's able to like create a spear that attracts matter and create another spear that repels matter, and he kind of uses these in a very inventive way that puts Sukuna on the back foot. And there's this moment where there's a panel where it shows Gojo being all bad, and it says Gojo won. And then the next chapter, we get this like moment where Gojo is in some kind of like afterlife limbo thing, and then it shows him just cut the hell in half. And it's like, I hate it when storytellers do this thing where they're like, I'm going to explicitly tell you that X took place, or like this particular thing is the case. And then I'm just going to be like, psych, actually, no, it isn't. Like, that's not a plot twist. That's just like lying.
Yeah.
You know, and it feels like the delivery is just so not right there. And that to me is the moment where like the wheels really start to fall off, because like, I don't know, there's the binding vow is broken at that point. I don't know. It's like it's just kind of like, it's just like the machine like stops functioning right there, you know? So, cause like after that, basically what happens is we get like 75% of the characters that have been in this series so far all get reintroduced to like in this fucking conga line to like one at a time just get knocked down by Sukuna. In like
one at a time too. It's like, oh yeah, it's like
why didn't you guys like talk about it? You could spend like 5 minutes being like, okay, what if we all go in at the same time? I don't know. But yeah, it's like chapter after chapter after chapter. And as a fan of the series, I was reading it every week, just being like, oh, maybe this person will stand a chance against Sukuna. And like, nope.
No, it's a flashback chapter. Nice.
Yeah, man. And it was just like, I don't know, like that. It was that moment of the poorly delivered plot twist of Gojo losing to Sukuna. And then it's just like, I feel like at that point, Gege just no longer knew what he was doing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, even in like the prep for the final fight, it's they were talking about Yuji is like having hosted Sukuna for so long, he thinks that he could also use like so Sukuna's power. I can't believe we haven't talked about this yet. He slices and cuts.
Mhm.
Yeah. He slices and cuts, and his domain is the shrine that everything in his domain just gets like diced into the tiniest pieces possible. And so Yuji thinks that he, has this power now. And then all of the other people are like, oh, actually, no, you don't. You just have like a weird sponge ability. Like they don't even define his ability throughout
Mhm.
the entire series. They're not interested in Yuji as a character.
Yeah.
And so, which makes it even more disappointing, where when Yuji finally uses his domain expansion and he like goes on a walk with Sukuna and just basically like a babysitter telling him like that you broke a vase, like do you see what you're breaking and destroying? And
Yeah.
it's so weak sauce. It's like really upsetting.
Yeah, and it's like that's why I've kind of had this theory that like maybe the stress of being the world's most successful manga author all of a sudden just like got to Gege and he couldn't stick the landing because yeah, it's like and I actually do kind of like the art style in the manga. It is like messy, but in a way that I find kind of charming. So like I still like, panel to panel, I enjoyed reading in and out, but it just seemed like it's like as of Gojo's loss to Sukuna, Gege just like didn't know where to go from here, and so it's like it's sort of like he wanted to demonstrate how powerful Sukuna was, so like it kind of made sense to have him just like knock down 3/4 of the cast sequentially, I guess. But like from there, he was like, well, I guess Yuji is technically the main character, and Sukuna is technically the main bad guy, so I suppose protagonist has to defeat main bad guy, and we got to make that happen somehow. And so, yeah,
I guess that's the ending. Like I guess that's how I'm supposed to wrap it up.
that makes as much sense as anything. Nobara just kind of appears out of nowhere at the end. With this, like, it just kind of,
The most frustrating. Oh God. The way how the characters are so disposable, and yet you're supposed to give a shit when they come back.
yeah,
Just don't kill her in the first place. Like I just never got that.
yeah. And it's like, I guess in his defense, like, it, I don't think it ever explicitly says Nobara had died. I think they want you to think that she's dead, but it's never been like, oh no, she's straight up done for. But yeah, she gets injured brutally by Mahito. And then she comes back like right at the end in a way that just doesn't feel like impactful enough.
She has an eye patch now, so clear.
Which is tight for sure.
Really,
Yeah.
the costumes are sick in this. Yeah,
Yeah, the character designs are great. Like everything about the characters is awesome. Just how they're utilized isn't. And so it's like, yeah, I don't know, man. It just like he wanted Yuji to defeat Sukuna in a way that felt satisfying. And like I think Yuji basically like it's like his cursed energy, his like cursed technique is just mm, like scolding. He's like it's like moral indignation or something. Like he's just
hall monitor, I
yeah,
guess.
he's like he just disapproves of Sukuna so hard that he dies. It's like that's like kind of how it feels, and it's like, and the thing is, I could even see like Gege when he has these like mad genius moments, I could see him like kind of pulling that off. I could see him making like in the context of this already pretty bonkers magic system, I could make it seem I could buy Yuji being like, I am golden-hearted anime protagonist, and my incorruptible moral compass is just gonna overpower your black evil heart. Like I could see a way of like making that make enough sense. But I remember reading that last chapter and being like, "What the fuck just happened, dude?"
Yeah,
I don't know. It was super confusing and delivered really weirdly, and yeah, ultimately, like maybe kind of fittingly, it just kind of fizzles out,
Yeah, and the guy defeats the strongest demon in the world, and saves the world effectively, and he doesn't even get his Jennifer Lawrence bad bitch. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, yeah. And like he just kind of goes back to like the gang get back together and like the original trio are just out there like solving ghost mysteries again. Um, which like maybe it's worth mentioning that this show does have this like supernatural like X-Files-y sort of feel toward the beginning of the series where they're like there's like some cursed bridge and there's some suicides around it, and we have to go investigate and see what supernatural forces are at work there. And like I wouldn't have minded a little bit more of that, you know.
Well, Dandadan, that's the plot of the show. Is like going on these weird ghost and like alien encounter spaces, and like yeah, like there's a reason why that's like the most popular show right now.
I haven't watched it yet. I gotta check that out.
It's good.
Listen to my episode on it, Thomas.
Should I watch this show first, or should I listen to it?
No, I think watch it first. It's honestly, if you like
It's breeze
JJK,
too.
it's super fast.
Sweet. I'll that's next on the list, man.
I give it high. I'm a bullish, as I'm gonna borrow Monty, what Monty says, but bullish on Dandadan, and I think it's a great series personally. I think it gets a lot right, and I think it's weird in a way that JJK has all the coolness, but there's like something that maybe as millennials we'll be like we need a little. Yeah, like it's a little cringe. There's a little like I want everything to be 100% slick, like too Korean. We don't want the Koreanification of anime. You want it to be Japanese. Japanese are able to laugh at themselves. You watch Japanese series, they'll make fun of themselves, no problem. They don't, but so you don't want it to be too slick, too cool. You want it to have a little maybe camp, you could say, or a little self-referential, like irony bro humor, maybe even. So I think Dandadan actually captures a lot of that, and it does poke fun at some of the woke tropes, despite what the like quote unquote Westoid Twitter, like anime weeb Twitter think about it. Like they totally misunderstand. It's making fun of like all the girl boss shit. It's like saying, yeah, they actually need the boy. They need the boy. They can't do anything without him. It's very dudes rock, but almost in a non-threatening way. Anyways, I'm sorry to promo my episode with Zach on that, but I think it's a really good show. And I think it kind of fits in, maybe you could say, with like this modern anime canon. Like I think it could fit very comfortably on a list with JJK. And you could say like, yeah, JJK has flaws, but it gets a lot right. And you can see its sort of legacy in like the anime of 2025.
Yeah. But yeah, it like the way things kind of go sort of kind of back to normal feels like it really feels to me like it just ran out of ideas toward the end, you know.
Well, I keep in mind too, it's like almost all like the world has kind of been leveled during like the Cullen Games, and now they're just getting ice cream in a city again. It's very disjointed.
Maybe Japanese people are just like they're just accustomed to their cities being annihilated all of a sudden, and more they're just like, it's just we do this. Right, it's just no of these. But yeah, I don't know, man. It like it, and like I'm kind of like, so I love video games, and like I'm often drawn to video games that are like flawed masterpieces. Like I'm just so fascinated with like really works of art generally that are like almost there, and JJK really feels like it's so damn close, and it just the landing kind of gets fumbled, and it's like, yeah, I mean, I guess maybe from here we just hope that Gege's like learned some lessons, and maybe some of his like, he almost has like a Kojima problem, like Hideo Kojima, the Metal Gear Solid creator. Like Kojima is like extremely creative, but he just doesn't have like I don't know, the ability to like make his creative, in my opinion, the ability to make his creative ideas like really gel together effectively. And so I think Gege maybe has a similar problem that maybe like Jim, what you're saying, like maybe if he gets the right editor who really understands his vision but can kind of help guide it or something like that. I could see the kind of raw talent of Gege being applied to something really cool. Hopefully.
I think one of the biggest things that I think it's hard because like with anime becoming so mainstream now, and like the manga industry is like really like doing really well. It's gonna be very hard to because I mean it's everyone's dream to get into Shonen Jump if you're a mangaka, and I think that it would be really healthy. I mean, and this is across like all like cultural across cultures like in the world. More diversification of publication is something that is desperately needed. I think that these guys are just in Shonen Jump, and like it's every single week, and you have like people like breathing down your neck, giving edits. I think that I mean this is what happened with Araki with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. When he announced Steel Ball Run. It was with a manga company that comes out with once a month issues, and so that gives you a lot more time and a cohesion. And so that's why Steel Ball Run is probably the best installation of JoJo in my opinion. It's because he actually had that time and that ability to stretch things out.
I want to stand up for Stone Ocean. Monty knows that I like it, so I love.
Good.
Yeah, I also like the one with the. I also like the one where they're kind of like urban hoodlums, whatever that. I liked that one. So, you know, I think JoJo's a really cool, underrated series. I think it's also misunderstood. I think Monty totally gets it. I'm not saying that, and I love Monty when he did his episode on it, but I just,
Yeah, totally.
you know, I just feel like I'll rep for it a little.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm a JoJo boy.
I need to get to that one too. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like, I guess more or less my like wrap up thoughts, or as much as I've got left, is like, I think JJK has, it has all the raw materials to be like pretty much as good as Shonen can possibly be. There's just an issue with like consistency and being able to commit to ideas, you know, like, something that I really love in like music, especially like, you know, when I was like a young songwriter and trying to write songs, I would like write songs that have like a bajillion riffs in them, because I thought that's what I thought, like, more good ideas means better work, right?
Mhm.
But it's not how that works. And like as I grew up and started listening to better music, it was like, no, great songwriters and great composers are able to commit to their good ideas fully, as opposed to like give you another one and then another one. And so it's like, I feel like JJK is like kind of equal parts like unfinished and overwritten. You know, it's like,
Mhm.
it's like too densely packed with what are actually cool ideas. You know, it's like the characters are all really cool. The powers are all really cool. It's just that none of these characters or like motifs get committed to for long enough to really see them like blossom. So it's it's a real shame with these like really bright shining moments in there, you know?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's again the reason why it bothers the shit series bothers me so much is because of the glaring issues
Mhm.
and how like especially with like the ending, because this is like a My Hero Academia's ending also like had a really negative response. Um,
I thought it was better than JK, but that's maybe another
it
time.
was better.
Yeah.
It was way better. And but yeah, it really is this I just think these guys get just so burned out and then just don't care. Like they already have their millions and everyone's wearing their shit. So who cares?
Yeah. Yeah, I got a Gojo sweater, dude. It's sick.
Hell yeah.
You know, like, I'll be that guy. But yeah, dude, maybe that's it. Yeah, he was like, I just poured so much energy into this thing. I made a shitload of money and I just can't do it anymore. Maybe that's what happened.
Yeah, and you know, it's kind of a harbinger of like, well, what's gonna happen when One Piece is over? Because he's kind of like the last guy who's committed to like this really long project to the end. And I don't know. It's the I, there's always conversations on like what are the next big three, what are the next big
Yeah.
things, the next series, and I don't know what it's gonna look like in the near future.
I mean, I'm pretty behind on Chainsaw Man, but I think Chainsaw Man continues. I've been extremely impressed with Chainsaw Man.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
It's so good, man. That one's really strong. I guess 1,000 Year Blood War is like wrapping up, but it's been great. I haven't finished season 3 of that yet. But yeah, like I don't know, man. It's gonna be a weird landscape because yeah, it did like Bleach, Naruto, One Piece did feel like they were kind of keeping the whole thing afloat. And One Piece to me still is probably the best manga series that I've ever read. Um, and like, yeah, once it's gone, like, you know, who's really gonna take up that mantle? You know, like Attack on Titan's been done for a while. My Hero just wrapped up. Demon Slayer's done. I like Demon Slayer just fine. But yeah, it's like a lot of the bigger names are kind of petering out, and like what, and now that anime has become so successful in the mainstream, like what the future holds feels, it's like it kind of feels like it's like the mood of the golden age, but then when you look in the future a little bit, you're like, what are we gonna have in like 5 years?
Yeah.
You know?
And the list that you just like rattled up, like Attack on Titan, My Hero, these were like anomalies when they came out. So
Yeah.
I'm optimistic still.
Mhm.
But the writing on the wall is exactly like you said. Like we may be going off a cliff.
Yeah.
I want to end on obviously I always joke like a clear pill or just like a positive thing. And so I don't disagree. I totally think, yeah, it's not looking great. But I actually think that this will be a time that they return to smaller stories, smaller scale stories. I'm not trying to say that Dandadan is the best thing ever to come out, but there's something that is approachable. There's like a slice of life element to it that makes it like they're kids in high school, but it includes all the modern tropes of like high school, anime high school, quote unquote. So there's an approachable element. It's smaller scale. Yes, it's magical realism. It's wild, weird, and wacky. But they also don't necessarily. They might secretly bear the weight of the fate of the world. But it's maybe not the grand battle of like Neo Tokyo has been destroyed in 10 million nuclear apocalypses. And so I just think that this is what it will be. It will be, Psyche Gay. I love this series. I love Psyche. So, I mean, I'm going to say that it's a great series. And I think that also embodies that. It's like, what are people looking for? People want identifiable characters. People want weird. They're ready. They're ready for like this, psychic, magical girl realism, but they're ready for it like a mixture. I think that the whole idea of like girls manga, boys anime, girls anime. I'm dudes rock. I'm there, but I'm just thinking that I think that the artificial distinctions I don't think they serve the industry because I think everybody reads like anything that you're really interested in. Like you're just gonna read it. Like I've read food manga, sake manga, but you know what I mean? Like that. Yeah, that's like old man manga, but I like it. So I think it's very much the same. I think we're gonna see like more integration between the genres. They're not going to be so shonen, shoujo. Like it'll be more blended and there'll be more for everybody. And I think that it will be more of a return to the creator. So we'll see. But that's like I'm saying as a positive maybe projection. No Korean, no Vietnamese. Like bring it back home because that's honestly.
Has to happen.
They do the best. They do the best animated, like the cell by cell. You can always tell, like any series, like any anime you watch, I can tell right away. Be like, yeah, this was definitely done by Koreans, definitely done by Chinese, definitely done by Vietnamese, because they all have a different style, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But like China has actually done really good local production.
Mm-hmm.
Korea actually does like God of High School. I kept thinking of that too throughout this whole discussion. Is like God of High School has like a lot of similarities to this series.
We got to continue to encourage like that great omnidirectional Asian racism. All Asian countries just fucking hate each other. We need to like fan those flames,
Yeah. Well, I want to piggyback off of the stop and no more outsourcing because one of the most glaring examples is here in the States is the show Invincible. That show is almost entirely made in the Philippines from like Kickstarter like animators.
I don't know that.
And that's why it looks so bad. Like it's as much as we beat up on Jujutsu Kaisen, whatever's going on in like Western cartoons right now is abysmal. It's really, really bad. And like the leaning into the weird wackiness of like the Eastern philosophies with this, like Jujutsu Kaisen, like cursed spirits and stuff, like give it the aesthetic of like blood and gore and guts. And like it looks like Bloodborne half the time.
Mhm.
And I just think it's like, as much as like the holes are glaring, it's so far above what's going on over here.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and that's that'll be my like to try to chip into the optimism here. Like, I do think like there's something kind of cringe about like the way anime gets embraced in the US, but I think that's actually a good sign because like I'm a late millennial. I'm 31, so I'm kind of on the cusp, but I think of myself as a millennial. And like the thing that I hate most about the millennial generation is like I think millennials are more scared of being cringe than they are of like their own mortality. Like there's nothing in the world more scary than like being thought of as cringe. And like so like millennial irony shit, like all of that is about creating like a barrier between you and getting close. It's a way to prevent you from ever getting close enough to something that you might be like judged if it gets judged. You know, like you don't want to like the wrong shit as a millennial because like if it's cringe, then you're cringe, and then you know that's like the worst possible outcome. And I think anime is like obviously all you know a lot of hay's been made out of like the rise of sincerity and stuff, but I think it's good. Like sincerity is cool, and like I think the Western embrace of anime is largely an indicator that people are ready to be cringe and they're ready to just like openly like love the shit they love, even if it's like too sincere or too heartfelt or whatever. I mean, that's what I like about shit like Naruto or My Hero Academia. Like those series just like wear their heart on their sleeves so overtly, and even if it is like kind of cheesy at times, it's like that's better than being like Rick and Morty ass. Like we're never gonna take anything too seriously. Like that's the coward's way. Like that's a path directly into hell. I hate that stuff more than I can describe. And so like, you know, I think Gege should get points for just like fucking going for it. He consistently does that, and he's really trying stuff. And he like I was saying with his little kind of liner notes in the manga, like when he's explaining like, no, these rules totally make sense, and it's like debatable whether they do, but he's so invested and so willing to like attach himself to this thing that he's creating, and so willing to like be the captain that goes down with the ship. And so that's I think really inspiring, and I think, you know, regardless of how good anime is or how good manga is in the next few years, like I think the kind of widespread cultural adoption of it is a sign of like people getting their heads out of their asses in some meaningful ways, you know?
So, yeah, everything you said, Thomas, I 100% agree. Joe Nally, but not updated recording, but like just previous.
Shout out to him.
Yeah, it's like I love that dude. But you know, him and I always can go on about like the Asian artifact stuff, like the giant robot, like magazine and all that, like Ibisu and all that kind of like 90s culture that was really subcultural for a lot, like for like we'll call it the Westoids, that didn't exist, right? That was kind of like some weird thing that some Asian American artists did. Wasn't like a big deal, but then it's like Thomas was saying, it's like the fear of the millennial is to be cringe. So that stuff was considered cringe, but I was really into it. So maybe now as like a aging millennial, I'm not afraid to be cringe. I'm like, okay, like that's what I like. That's, you know, that's who I am. I love anime. I love Japanese cinema. I'm like, I'm there for it. So for me, you know, that's what it is I like all this stuff. I love the aesthetic. Like, and Monty's totally right. Like even the more degraded kind of shonen is still way better. And you're totally right, Thomas, about the Rick and Morty. Like, I think of anime as like new stories for new men. So that's like I'm synthesizing something Monty has said on the show, but in my own way. So yeah, I think it's like what even the worst anime, it's still fresh. There's still like an element of, and it has pastiche. It has like it speaks to its like older forms, but there's something about it because of its color, its movement, its sound. It's like all the magical devices, you could say. So it can reinvent itself multiple times. Whereas like when you're getting into these like creator owned, like Rick and Morty is a great example, like it's gonna be an exact reflection of like the people around it, not necessarily there's something dynamic about anime. Whereas because it's an industry and like, you know, American animation tends to be like, what does this person think is cool? Well, I think we're going less into like what like people don't get to be the arbiters of like what is cool anymore. We're kind of more like you guys said. It's like you get to embrace what you like, and it isn't cringe. It's actually insincerity is the right way. I agree.
To me, it kind of feels like, yeah, like you said, Jim, that like Rick and Morty is an exact reflection of the people who made it, and like it's just so a product of a particular cultural moment, and it's like, to me, like there's art that reflects its environment, and then there's art that like asserts itself over its environment, you know. And like I think what's happening with anime in America and like coming into the West is like it's like Rick and Morty is just kind of emerging out of the sludge of millennial bullshit, but then anime showing up and be like, no, we're gonna affect the culture. We're gonna like throw sincerity at you, and we're gonna try to like shape this, as opposed to just be kind of a product of it, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, look no further than like look at how many Akira profile pictures there are on Twitter. Just think about like however many years ago, if someone was even to watch you, like catch you watching Akira, you would be like, it was almost like shameful, like you got caught in the act of being cringe. And now with the flood happening of anime into the West, it's like now I see like black guys wearing Naruto t-shirts. Like I never would have thought that was gonna happen if like 10 years ago. I was reading One Piece for 20 years in the closet. And I because I was like, no, it's so cringe.
Yeah, man, and it's I really love. I have a real fondness for like there's so many like independent clothing companies or just like people who just like rented out a warehouse and printed out shirts with fucking Vegeta on them. And it's like, I love that shit, dude. I think it's cool because it's people who are like, yeah, we just love this thing and we're gonna like try to make a hustle out of it. And it's like you know, it is so unafraid of the cringe factor, and it's like, I don't know, just the open embrace of liking the shit you like is just so much more dignified than being scared of what people are gonna say, you know?
Yeah. I mean, like it's not to date the episode or anything, but there's rape in Star Wars now. So yeah, like look, well, it's the exact opposite of what you're saying. It's like they are becoming slaves to the zeitgeist instead of creating it, which
Yep.
the
Yeah, because Western art largely sucks at distributing now, and so yeah, I mean, maybe that's like one of the bigger takeaways here is that like, you know, JJK manages so much more than like whatever Andor. I don't keep up with that stuff. Like
yeah,
whatever series there's
Disney Plus slop, sure.
right. Whatever is getting cranked out there, and it's like it's just JJK is still, for all of its flaws, considerable as they are, like it's still more substantial, more interesting, more courageous, more heartfelt, more inspiring, more like invigorating. And yeah, I'm glad that the like Eastern art is kind of like saving us from ourselves a little bit.
Well, there's something interesting just to close out. I won't go on a long tangent, I promise, boys. But this also happened. I know the Monty's heard me say this, but Thomas, this has already happened. Like this exact thing, like this kind of reinvigoration of the Western canon with these texts. This has happened several times in history. Though the really interesting kind of like mediatic landscape that we're looking at, because it is kind of like it's just a repeat. It's just like you know, it is a perennial thing that has happened. So it destined to happen again. And though it's gonna be like, you know, I'm doing a series on Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I love this.
Yeah, it's amazing. Joel, I'll invite you on if you want to come on. Then
Great, dude. I would love to.
okay.
Hell yeah.
Oh, Monty, if you want to call on, you can go on. But
Oh man, the boys are making movement. It's cool.
I love it. But because everything, like all the interesting things for me happen when we discuss it. It's not really like just me talking.
Yeah.
It's our discussion. So, and listening to you two today, because you're both a lot more familiar with the property than me. Like I've seen it the first season like a few times, but in terms of like I have no way of gauging. I'm kind of lost in space with that series. So appreciated that you grounded me in that. And yeah, we're gonna see like a interesting synthesis of things that are anime inspired. Obviously, that's fine until you can date it, because that is just a controversy on Twitter. Like, what is anime? What is manga? What is manhwa? And what is manhwa? So who gets to like claim what the words are? Well, I don't really care personally anymore. I'm kind of like, you know, some like YouTube slop theater wants to like slap this name on a manga and like I really don't care. I'm not gonna read it. I'm not gonna buy it. It's not interesting to me. But you know, if he does something really cool with it, sure. If someone makes waves and does something different, but if it's just like a reproduction, I'm personally not that interested. But if you're gonna like take it and kind of remix it and be innovative and maybe draw from also, because like American comic book publishing is sort of the full circle for the Japanese comic book industry, right? So you have to draw from some of the stuff that has happened post Golden Age and also from the Silver Age, because you have to kind of bring that back into what modern manga / anime is. I'm not saying to do it, but I'm saying if you're gonna really make an American manga or American anime, you would have to bring in like conventions that people who grew up reading Western comic books would also know. So I think I'm bullish. I'm here for it. At least it's a fruitful time. It's a generative time. It's interesting. People are thinking about really interesting things. There's a lot of interesting people doing, trying at least to do their smaller projects in like a more creator owned way. I think that's really dynamic. I think that's really interesting and it's exciting. So
Yeah, I think we are escaping from the cultural wasteland of the 2010s. We're
Thank
100%.
God.
I think
Yeah.
we're healing, you know what I mean? We're in the process of like recovering from that, but I think there's reason to be optimistic about that recovery.
100%. And I'm sorry, Thomas, I got your screen name wrong. Thomas or Millennial. Of course, I don't know what was being a retard. Monty can laugh at me later and tease me about it. But no, I really
I don't
appreciate
bully him, for the record. I don't bully him.
doesn't money. I fully caught that. It's just it's a bit, you can say. But no, thank you so much, Thomas, and I'm really glad that you came on, and you legit are welcome on anytime. Like, if you want to do a project, like, you just let me know. Like, we'll do this, no problem.
It's still fun, man. It's been a while since Machi and I got to really talk for a long time. I miss you guys. I'm not active in the chat as much as I could be, so it's really great to just like shoot the shit with the boys.
This is where the magic happens.
Bro.
Like, for real, this is like often what I talk about. Like, Monty's heard me go more. I go a lot more esoteric than I do on the show, even. But yeah, there is something very magical about podcasting. There's a lot of there's a lot of magicians who podcast. So I started noticing that, and I'm like, oh, what are they doing? It's kind of interesting, right? So why not tap into the same current or whatever that and see what it's all about. So yeah, it's all legit. Like, Monty knows, if Monty did come to me with an idea, so we are gonna do that. But if he has an idea, I just tell him, just come to me and come on anytime. If there's someone you're fun with, you let me know. And
Well, so we're in wrap up time, so I'd be remiss. We do this every single anime episode. Round the table, out of 10, Jujutsu Kaisen. What would you rate it?
Man, like I'd say like 8.
Okay.
I like this series quite a lot. It's like, yeah, somewhere like the 8-ish range probably for me.
Jen?
Monty, you go. No, you go
Okay.
first. I'll go at the last and kind of average it out.
Sure. So, like everything that we've discussed, when it hits its marks, there's no stopping it. The anime is one of the most important and relevant seasons of anime that came out probably in the past 5 years.
Yeah.
And that deserves like credit, and it's the reason why I keep coming back to it and why I even have like opinions on it in the first place is because it does stick with you. And so that the relevance of it is really important, but the actual and the enjoyment's there too. But the glaring holes, I'd like 6.5.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm definitely going to say 7.5, but I will be honest, I was actually going to say 8, depending on what Thomas gave it. So it is interesting, but so I'll go there. So right, sort of in between. I like it. I think it's cool. Like Monty said, like, I think Monty summed it up, but I'll just give it higher because I just think that it will be influential, and I think we all kind of recognize there's like an element where they're kind of edgelording these genre conventions of shonen, and we'll see it play out in the future in other projects. So, and I agree. I think we'll see what the guy does. Look at the 80s anime. It was exactly like this. It's not like Clamp. Everything Clamp does was like great. Not every project they did was great. It might be interesting to look back on now, but at the time it wasn't like their hit series are their hit series, and it's the same with the creator of Sailor Moon. Like, she did a lot of sub projects. They weren't all Sailor Moon, right? So it'll be what he makes of it going forward, and hopefully, yeah, he can have like an editor that I do think that's critical. As someone who just like just dabbles at the end, like the edges of like playing with words and maybe writing a little, I just think that in a good editor, or at least an honest person, to tell you like, craft your, if you're talking about songwriting, Thomas, so like craft your lyrics. Sometimes you just need like a second person to look it over and be like, yeah, I'm not saying that you're wrong, just it can help. A second eye can definitely help. So yeah, I agree. So I'm bullish on it. Let's go, and yeah, I'll let you both plug. I'm sorry.
Check out Post Nostalgic Wasteland with Illich and myself. I think Illich is like one of the more like, I think he's really, really smart, and he's like able to tap into stuff that is not always accessible to everyone in like our kind of like e-right Twitter sphere. I think he's like a really like important voice here, and I'm trying to contribute to his project best I can. So I was like, give us a shot over there.
Hell yeah. I don't really have a whole lot going on right now. I've been writing a lot, and I have some publishing dates that are coming up soon, but no, honestly, I've just been spending I'm like kind of rehabbing my Twitter account to I've been really into photography again recently, and I've just been trawling the archives. So I don't know, if you want to see some cool stuff, follow me on Twitter.
That is true. You will find cool stuff if you follow Monty consistently.
Yeah, Monty is Kino. I've always known this. Yeah, even before Monty's saying revamping, but Monty's always had a great aesthetic. So, yeah, follow Monty, follow Thomas, and Thomas. I'll definitely link your project and Illich, and
cool.
And like I always do that. So, yeah, definitely make sure that all your stuff, and thanks, boys, and really fun, really awesome. Like an easy recording, very fun. So, thanks. Appreciate you both.
Weeb chat undefeated.
Undefeated. Get it proud. Okay. Thanks, boys. Have a good night.
Thanks.
All right. Take care, guys.
Vegeta, thanks.
For what? I should be thanking you, Kakarot.
Nah, what do you mean? I loved every minute. Goodbye, my friend.